Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here with, as Chris says here, my all-stars bestie. We got Drew here to talk about star-crossed rivals. How are you doing today, Drew?
I'm doing all
Long
right.
time
How
no
you doing?
see.
Yes, it has been.
So long. Has it been like the entire season? We haven't talked since the season started, right?
I came on for one episode and we caught up. I don't
This season?
necessarily, yeah, I remember hanging out at one point, I thought. I don't remember exactly which episode, which is
Was it the
terrible.
Traitors, though?
Well, we talked about the traders. I thought we talked about one episode. No, maybe not.
I'm not saying
Maybe
that
not.
you're wrong, but
No, yeah, I'm probably wrong.
I think because what would we have? I don't think we've talked about this season.
I could have been traders then. I know we talked about traders. I thought we talked about something here, but rivals, traders, somewhat similar kind of situation.
One kind of all-encompassing word. Well,
Yeah.
two, I guess. Wait, so then how have you been feeling about the season so far? Yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are.
I thought, okay, so just to take it from the beginning, I mean, it was a little bit boring, predictable because of Adam and Steve getting sent in over and over again. And then it started to really pick up, especially when Frank and Sam were able to win their star and Adam and Steve won into power to where we had to have people turn on each other. And I thought that's when the season really started to ramp up. But now I'm feeling like it was a little bit too late as we are slowly, once the season really started to ramp up and other people were starting to get kind of like they had to play the game, we kind of got to a point where there's so few players left that it was starting to seem very predictable again. So I feel like we had 3 really good episodes in the middle of the season.
Right?
Not that I wouldn't say necessarily this past one. I would say that the 3, yeah, the 3 before this one. So, but I'm not saying I hated this episode or anything, but we get to a point where you get to a point in the season where there's so few options. People, you can kind of tell the writing on the wall. There's not too much drama because people just know where they're going to align with and how it's all going to play out kind of vibe. So I think it's fun, but at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, you know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been enjoying the season, absolutely, but I have been disappointed, and it may fall onto the teams just not being even. If you're going to have 2 male teams, like it just has to be an all-male season or something. Or I don't want that. I don't want that. But or it has to be mixed teams. Like really has to be mixed teams because the fact that we have Adam and Steve that are really a lot of things they're really good at, which is great. But then they also have some advantages of like some strength advantages, height advantages, weight advantages that, Veronica and Katie just can't compete with in most cases. And so I just feel as though, yes, I've been enjoying Adam and Steve like doing super well. It looks like they're going to win the season at this point, which makes, if I look back at the whole season, it's kind of boring because we all pretty much predicted that a male team was going to do very, very well without even seeing the season. And so I just kind of wish that producers really took into account the fact that it's going to be dominated by teams that have a man in it, most likely.
And I want to throw this out there because I think I misspoke on my review and recap because towards something that happens this episode. I don't know how far we want to get because we're going to talk about this episode, but something happens this episode where Nany's like, you're just letting Steve and Adam walk into there if you don't even consider taking their star and everything. Where I misspoke and said on the review and recap that Adam and Steve are kind of waltzing their way to the finals, and everybody had to. A lot of comments are like, they're not waltzing. They had to win 4 eliminations. That feels like so long ago. And by the time we get to this point in the season, they have not been targeted since episode 5. And it just, like you're saying, it's like after Amber and Fessy, Devin and Leroy are gone out of the game, you kind of sit there and go, who else is left besides Turbo and Nany that maybe could put up a fight against them? That it's like, it feels like by midway point of the season, they are waltzing their way to the final, even though they had to win 4 eliminations when of who they were taking out. It's like, yeah, they had to take out Devin and Leroy, but they look like putzes in the middle of their elimination. They barely got to the barrels in their portion of the elimination, where Steve is like, I move barrels with numbers on them on my spare time. We roll on barrels on our spare time without touching the ground. This is how we do everything. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, if you put in Katie and Veronica in that elimination, they're not winning. If you put Melissa and Nicole in that elimination, they're not winning against Adam and Steve. It just feels like at this point, it feels like they're waltzing their way, because the troubles and tribulation that they had in the beginning of the season feels so long ago. And then you're looking at the competition going, who's really going to take them out besides Turbo and Nani? I really hope Turbo and Nani get their a star back and then make their way into the final, because if Adam and Steve in there, I want Turbo and Nani in there to have it at least a 2-team race, it would feel like.
Absolutely.
But who knows?
Well, now we do hear not rumors, but I think it was Fessy in his recap. I've only watched a little bit of the first one that he did, and he said that the producers.
He only did like 3, I thought.
Oh, really? Isn't the rest behind a paywall? Is that what? Like that was like his
maybe.
teaser.
I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't even know.
It didn't tease you to do more research, but I believe he said that he was going to do 1 episode and then put it behind a paywall, and I think he did 3 because probably people weren't listening or watching.
It's like you were in the season for like 4 to 5 episodes. What else can you give us? I don't know.
And so he said, I believe that a lot of people were complaining about the teams not be evenly distributed. And apparently the producer got kind of annoyed with it, but said, like, the final is a final that everybody can win, everybody can run. It's not just going to be for the physically adept. Cool, but getting there is what we have the biggest problem with.
Yeah. And I don't mind that, I was expecting, seeing how the teams were put up together, like I was expecting All-Stars 4 level. Here's a stage, get on top of a car, don't do anything, move over, eat a peppers on stuff, do this non-movement activity. Like I understand that, but at the same time, and you know what the thing is that it's not all going to be like that though, because who were the 3 people who got to the end of All-Stars 4? And it was Laurel, who a lot of people were saying is the most physically dominant challenger. You have Cara coming in 2nd place, and you have Steve getting 3rd place. So it's like, if Veronica and I would say even Nicole makes it to that 2nd stage,
beat Steve and Adam.
I think Laurel's still winning.
Or
and
Laurel,
it's like,
whatever.
and that shows a tipping of, you can't always make it too puzzle heavy, and you can't make it completely balanced when the best players are most likely going to win at the end of the day. It just feels like whoever is left just hasn't had as good of competition as, say, Adam and Steve, who have won multiple dailies, won multiple eliminations, and even Turbo and Nani haven't done much but win a couple of puzzle challenges. It was puzzle eliminations. So
yes, I totally agree. Now, okay, can we talk a little bit about what we think is happening with Turbo and Nani? Because we start off the first episode, beginning of the season, it was very heavy Turbo and Nani, like their dynamic, their relationship, and then it kind of petered out a little bit. We didn't see that much. Then we see them starting to work together a little bit better. They win a couple of eliminations. And then at the beginning of this episode, we see Nani trying to talk to Turbo to do this recap. He's like, please, Lottie, leave me alone. And she's like, fine, I'll do all the work. And so it's coming back again to Turbo and Nani being kind of a center focus. We know that they're getting their star stolen, spoiler alert, everybody, at the end of this episode. Do you think the journey of Turbo and Nani is leading towards them getting a win? Because they've been showing a lot of Casey, a lot of her, talking about how she wants to start a family with Casey. That they've broken up in real life. So what do you think the psychology and all the editing tricks and what do you think is actually going to be happening with this team? Are they winning or are they completely losing and it was just a bad story told?
I think they needed something to help like ease Nani into the zeitgeist, the storyline. And I just felt like, I don't know, it's a little disrespectful, a little awkward, especially of like, everything that happened to not only have her talking with Casey, but talking so personally about starting a family. Could they have not talked about anything else? Like a funny moment, a funny story of how Casey like forgot avocados at the grocery store and joking around. Why do we have to bring up the babies? I know it's like trying to pull at the heartstrings, but can't we retroactively go back and edit this? It's been so long. But I think they were just trying to add in Nany into the storyline. I feel like somebody said in my review and recap comment section, they think that it was a little bit thin for storylines this past week. So maybe that's why they added that in. I would like to know, or like to think that they're going to play for a final spot into this next episode. And I feel like they will. I feel like if it comes down to the preview of what the daily challenge will be, I think it's going to come down to Admin Steve and Turbo and Nany as my best guesses with who is left. And I feel like it's going to come down to those two of possibly winning. And then maybe you never know what could happen. Like Turbo and Nany throwing themselves in, and who like what could happen. To me, I want them to get their star back because I think that would lend itself to a much more exciting final couple of episodes, as well as I think that if they do make it, I think they could do something pretty daggone good in the final. I truly do. I mean, Turbo won in season 33. Nany has been in the final, in the finals very recently and coming in second place. I mean, as Steve came in third place in All Stars 4, but Adam hasn't been to a final in so long. I do think that if Turbo and Nany when Turbo and Nany, because I'm throwing that out into the universe, make it to the final, I think that they would have a really, really good shot of getting there.
Especially because likely if Turbo and Nany are in the final, that means Adam and Steve are not. And that would be their biggest adversaries, I would say. Because what could happen maybe next episode? Did we see anything about what the daily is going to be in the preview?
It looks like they're going to be trying to carry blocks. Like they're going to have to carry blocks, and they're all like having you stacked together. I don't know. There was like, what was it? Melissa and Nicole are trying to carry like 6 blocks, but it looks like they're trying to carry it like a pole ways between them, and they all fall down, and then they like throwing things and stuff. So I feel like they're having to carry something all at once, and it's going to be very, very frustrating. And it looks like it's going to be a puzzle in the woods, which I'm all for.
In that case, though, I feel as though Steve and Adam would be best at that particular game. They have their heights are pretty equal, and they tend to be able to work well together. They don't really yell that much at each other. They just kind of like hanker down and they do it. So I feel like they could possibly win. So if that's the case, who do you think that the house vote would be, and then who do you think that they would throw in? I mean, obviously, well, I don't know if they want Nany and Turbo to get an opportunity.
I think here's the thing. If Adam and Steve were to send somebody in, I think they would want to either send Devon and Shane or Frank and Sam in. Frank and Sam, just because Frank was the one that pushed for Adam and Steve so much to go in earlier. So I could see them wanting to send in Frank, but I could also see them wanting to do Devon and Shane, thinking maybe they are they're not as close with Devon and Shane, as well as maybe they are going to pose the biggest threat in the game outside of Turbo and Nany.
So you think then they would throw in, so the house would be, I guess nobody's going to want to put Turbo and Nany as the house vote because everybody else is a star holder. So they're going to be scared of that option, right? So they're going to probably try to block them.
This is what I would think. Adam and Steve, if they were to win, this is how they do it. They say, we want to take a shot at Turbo and Nany to get them out before the final. And I think it's in our best interest, except for the only people that would be worried about Turbo and Nany is who would be sent in against them. So if Adam and Steve are like, get 2 teams, Nicole and Melissa for sure, and then either Frank and Sam or Turbo and Nany to vote in with Nicole and Melissa to vote in Turbo and Nany. Turbo and Nany are going to want to vote themselves because they have to go in and try to get a star. So it doesn't even really matter. They just need an extra vote to vote in Turbo and Nany. And then whoever Adam and Steve rope into that deal, the person who is out on their own either Devon and Shane or Frank and Sam, they'll just send them in. So
I'm trying to think who's better friends with Melissa and Nicole. Is it Devon and Shane or Frank and Sam?
I would say
Probably
Nicole
Frank.
has played with Shane
Oh,
quite a
okay.
bit. So I feel like Shane and Devon would be closer with Melissa and Nicole. But I don't know how close Devon and Shane are with Adam and Steve, because it seems like Frank and Sam have gotten closer with Adam and Steve. And if I'm Adam and Steve, I don't mind going in to the final with Frank and Sam at this
I
point.
mean, they can go in with anybody. They're good. They just need to get there.
Yeah.
And so, like, okay, that's the most likely outcome. But hopefully, basically, Nani and Turbo win the daily. They get the opportunity to at least decide to go in against whoever they want, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would be ideal, and hopefully they take out that person. Do you think that they would go up against Adam and Steve and take that risk of like going home right before the final as opposed to having to run the final against them?
Who are we talking about?
Nani and Turbo.
I think Nani and Turbo at this point have no control over whatever happens. Like, if the only control that they have were to, if they would want to win it, like win the daily themselves, they have to send themselves in. So
Right,
they're at the
there's
mercy.
2 teams down there, like say it's Adam and Steve and Frank and Sam or whatever.
What happened?
Like, do you think that they would try to go against Adam and Steve just to like get rid of their competition, or to take the lowest hanging fruit?
I think they have to go in. They have no. I don't think they have any power here. They would try to push, but I think the rest of the house would be like, "Hey, let's vote in Adam and Steve, and then force Nani and Turbo to either send themselves in, or they're gonna just have to sit there and wait to see if they send in somebody else's star." Because Chris says, like, what if 2 star holders go in? What happens to that star? I don't think anybody's willing to find out. You know, I think everybody wants to hold on to their star. Or does Turbo and Nani risk rolling the die there and just be like, well, maybe it'll be bequeathed to us, or maybe we're just going to be crap out of luck, you know? I don't know if anybody's willing to do that. I think people are just saying, we got to go in. But I would like to know the rules. I wish we would know all the rules at this point. So I don't know.
Love Nikki says Turbo and Nani don't care who they face. They just want the opportunity to get a star.
I'm sure they would love to go against Melissa and Nicole. 1, for the competition, and 2, they stole the star. But I feel like they're just want anybody.
If I was Nani, I'd be pissed at Melissa about that. You know, like she was pretending like, oh, we're such good friends, and like I'm defending Nani with Turbo, and like then she just like steals her star. Like, it's kind of. I mean, I get it why she did it, but it was kind of. I'd be kind of annoyed if I was Nani. I'd be like,
oh yeah,
we're no friends anymore.
It's the Nani and Aneesa thing over and over and over again. They can have all these friends and make it very far, and then friendships just don't matter anymore. So yeah,
they don't matter at all.
Except unless you're Adam and Steve, apparently.
So at the beginning of this episode, we have Sam just like explaining the floating star. Is this a strategy that was like really out there that we need her to explain that there is a star that's free? Like, it's not like some big algebraic equation that like is so complicated. What do you think about Sam offering up her masterclass here?
I think it was thin. I think they were just looking for anybody to like make like just get us all caught up. What's the recap? It's almost like when Casey talks about the daily challenge rules. It's like, okay, thank you for letting us know in the first 5 minutes what's going on, but we'll move on now.
Like the floating star strategy. It's like, no, it's not really that complicated, Sam, but at least she explains it well.
Yeah.
She does a good job, not gonna lie.
Yeah, definitely.
We see Adam doing all the dirty dancing lists. Have you ever done that lift with anybody before?
No, I've never tried. I don't think I could do it in my state. So yeah, I don't know. I love that movie though. It's a great movie.
I mean, I love Dirty Dancing. I love that lift. I've never done the lift before, but I think Melissa was doing the lift with Adam. And
Mhm.
Adam he's also doing, was that from Dirty Dancing as well? When you like, it's kind of like a jive move where you like,
I think so. I know it's in Greece.
yeah, definitely in Greece.
Definitely in Greece.
It might be in Dirty Dancing as well, a version of it. Um, Willie's never seen Dirty Dancing.
It's great.
It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. Oh, okay. Chris says Drew has been flexing on us that he is going to the gym. I'm sure he could lift someone.
Okay, I've not gone to the gym for a lot of this week because I've been working on videos.
What videos do you work? I guess you're going to tell us at the end, unless you want to tell us now.
It's a CT doc.
Okay.
I got part 1 up on Patreon, and then I have part 2 coming out earlier this week, and then April 7th will be part 1 YouTube version of the CT doc being put up on Patreon.
So what did you think about Melissa and Nicole flirting, Melissa going over and giving her a peck on the cheek, seeing a flash of Nicole's girlfriend? And it wasn't the most flattering of pictures, I would say, of her girlfriend. With at the beginning of the season, Nicole is talking about like how she being kind of coy and like, oh, I'm not going to cheat on my girlfriend when we all know that likely she will. What do you think about this whole dynamic? You kind of rolled your eyes.
I will say it came later in the season than I thought it would. I mean, there was a point where Melissa and Nicole were neither seen nor heard through the entire season. But it's interesting. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere with only one episode really left. I actually am worried because I brought this up on my live stream last night. Is I wonder if there's going to be a cliffhanger for next week's episode, and we won't get to the elimination because I've heard there's 12 episodes this season. We're going into episode 10. Does that mean we're going to have 2 full episodes of the final, or are we going to do that thing where we have a kind of long drawn out episode where we kind of stay with everybody for a little bit longer, do the daily challenge, talk about maybe what's going to happen with the house vote, and then in episode 11 start with the elimination, and then kind of mosey around a little bit, and then towards the end begin the finals, see a little bit of the first stage, and then I don't know what's going on.
I definitely saw, I don't know if it was on the wiki, let me see if I can find it, that there is 12 episodes. So, but let's maybe take a look at what the titles are, and maybe we'll have an idea as to whether something will be complete or if they're going to leave us in limbo.
I just worry about that because I'm like, would they do that? And then I'm like, kind of, I don't even, I kind of brought it up, but I didn't look it up, and I didn't look it up today or last night. But what do you remember anything that happened in All Stars 4? Because we kind of got a breakup in the final of All Stars 4, but that was only 10 or 11 episodes.
All Stars 4 got 12 episodes.
4 got 12 episodes?
4 got 12 episodes, 3 got 10, 2 got 10, 1 got 9.
Right. I don't know what happened last season's final, though. I don't know.
Last season's final, there was at one point, wasn't there a bit of a cliffhanger with like the electrocution star before what's his name got out? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that portion. Okay, well that's
and then also what happened when Laurel had to get her star? Was that episode 9? Do you remember that?
I believe it was. So I'm looking at it right now. It was a good day.
Do the work.
so episode 4, episode 11, that's when they had the purge challenge. So they had the purge challenge to where half the episode was the rest of the people that did not have stars facing off against each other, where Derek and Laurel officially got their star. Then they moseyed around, and then they started the final, and they cut it off after the electrocution star thing. And then the rest of the final was episode 12. So, yeah.
If we're looking at that as a format, I would think that next episode might be a cliffhanger because we don't have the purge episode. this is kind of the purge episode, right?
Yes.
Or episode 10 would be kind of.
Would be, yes. So yeah, we had, so an episode, now we're just getting through this. Episode 10 was a full episode where they had the shopping cart challenge, and then they had the elimination between Jay and Steve, and they had a full-on episode. They were fine with it, and then they had a purge in episode 1, and then they started the final. So I don't know how they're going to be doing this one, because I don't think there's going to be a purge in this season. So yeah, I don't know. It can't be. There's only 5 teams left, 4 stars. What is going to happen?
Yeah, they're already here at the 4-star thing. Unless a 2 full episode finale, like final, that's like insane with like these people.
Yeah, like with only 4 teams, 8 total people, I don't think there would be enough to start out and like have just house stuff fill half of the first episode before getting to a final midway through. But there's only 40 minutes. The last season was 40 minutes. I don't know. It's definitely a weird situation. It will be like at least an episode and a half for the final. I'm just trying to prepare myself for what could happen in next week.
Okay, let me read this. So episode 10 says,
everybody, hold your ears just in case.
Oh, this is just like their little like episode. I don't think it's going to say anything super bad. It's like, I don't know. They're not going to spoil.
It's not going to pull a Devon. It's not going to pull a Devon on this past challenge official podcast.
Oh, well, I didn't even hear what she said.
Apparently she says a lot.
Still, like, hasn't come to fruition yet, or for this episode?
It has not come to fruition. She doesn't come out and say who wins, but the verbiage that she used, it feels like she tips her hand quite a bit.
They do these recordings like way in advance. So why would they not have cut that out? Like, you've done exit interviews. They are like, they listen in on everything. They're like, oh, can you cut that out from this minute to this minute? Like, oh, you kind of alluded to, like, what's going on there?
I don't know, but it was put up on Reddit like the day of the episode goes up, and somebody was like, do not listen if you don't want spoilers. Devon goes way too much into it. And yeah, I have the notes here. They put in 3 different 3-minute commercials. So they edited it to where they have a commercial in the beginning. They have 3-minute commercials that somebody went in and had to place in pre-recorded. So it's like, what are you doing? So yeah, I don't know.
Ali says, I heard she heavily hints the winner. And then Danica says it was probably a red herring. So maybe they left it in because it's not true what she's hinting.
I don't know. It's pretty bad. And not to say like the Challenge Official podcast has done it to where somebody kind of says something and people are like, did they say what they thought I said? And then the Johnny Bananas also on his podcast, he's also had guests / him. Well, he's had it in like season 40. They've like, he's talked about it and kind of heavily alluded to stuff and everything. And I don't know. I felt it was on everybody. One, the editor should have done something or said something to somebody, as well as I think Devon should know, being a podcast host herself, as well as Tori and Aneesa, I think have to lead the conversation and be more specific with their questions, because they kind of just were like, so All Stars Rivals, crazy, huh? And then Devon just kind of goes, and that's just Devon being a good guest of the podcast.
Yeah, just talking. But that's wild though if it's true, whatever she says, if it's true. I don't feel as though these little descriptions give anything away. So, so episode 10, this is why we're rivals. It says a rival pair seeks revenge to take back their star from one of the 4-star holding pairs after it was stolen in the previous elimination. We know that. One challenger threatens to quit the game when tensions with their rival reaches an all-time high. Okay, and then episode 11, it says the final 4 rival pairs compete in the final challenge. So maybe there's only 11. Maybe I saw that before. In the final challenge, with a life-changing amount of money on the line, some rival pairs struggle to excel past their differences, while others fully regress back into their old ways with each other. So It actually looks like there's only 11 episodes, and then our whole
Really?
conversation and discussion was for nothing.
I don't know. Well, that's interesting because on the Wikipedia it says 11, and then if you go to the MTV Wiki fandom page, it says 12. So we'll
I
just wait
did,
and see.
so I did see it. I'm not like going crazy because I'm like, I don't see it here when I'm looking it up, but maybe it was on the wiki fandom. Okay, hold on. I was looking at the regular wiki. Let's
Yeah,
lastly look at the wiki fandom.
yeah, though. So yeah, I saw
It
that
does.
too. Yeah.
16th. An
So
unrivaled twist
ooh,
is
they
the
bring
name of,
everybody back.
and then they have to vote.
Yeah, that's the biggest twist. They bring everybody
An
back.
unrivaled twist.
There's karma points that we've never seen before, and they will
What
determine
happens if someone does actually quit, like because they can't get along, and then they bring back the most recent eliminated pair to compete in the final?
that would be crazy.
It would be crazy. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what could possibly happen.
Maybe they do a thing where they start the final and they just really let the final breathe instead of trying to like pace it out so much. They really let it breathe a bit and have a bit more confessionals. We get to sit in with the competition a little bit longer instead of sitting at home at the challenge house and stuff and get to hear why people are playing and why they're playing or doing this or doing that. I think I would like that a little bit more of like, because here's the thing. I think why people like season 33's final is because they feel how tough it is. Whereas all the finals since then feel like the edit is just not doing the final justice. We can understand that it is difficult and it is time consuming, but the way it edits, it feels like it's kind of more of a walk in the park. So maybe that would be what they would want to do is like, let's breathe. Let's hold in on the people sleeping at night. Maybe there's a sleeping overnight portion. Maybe there's 2 sleeping overnight portions. And we get to just see more of the final rather than kind of trying to cut as quickly as possible, doing montages and all this other stuff, which I think would be better.
I totally agree that MTV needs to be more clear with their scheduling. And I know you live in the States, so you don't have this problem, but it is a chore to watch All Stars this season because the provider that I use, it's on a new network now. As we know, it's not on we don't have an MTV Canada anymore. And then for whatever reason, it doesn't record like normal. So I can never find it. I have to like go searching for my recording of the show, and it's not like it doesn't pop up with all recent recordings. And I was like, where the frick is this show? And then there's an app to be able to watch like TV on the app. And I can't even find it on the app. So I think I changed the setting because it was a little bit easier to find this week than it has been for the last 10 weeks or 8 weeks. And so I think I might have figured something out, but like it's been a real chore to try to watch it. Freaking annoying.
Yeah.
Freaking annoying. Yes. Watching it live, I could make that happen. But when you trying to watch a replay, it's pain in the butt. Yeah. It's so hard to watch this show as a Canadian. Exactly, Joanne. So annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else is going on in this episode? Yeah, so yeah, Melissa has a girl at home. Do you think that Nicole has a girl at home? Do you think that they're still together?
I could not tell you. I have no idea what any of these people are doing in this moment.
Question: do you think that? Wait, oh shit! I just forgot my train of thought. It was about Nicole. Oh, do you think, as I do, that Nicole is almost enjoyable this season?
I don't know. They've been so deep in the background for 90% of this season.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's a lot more subdued. Nicole has a lot more friends that she trusts in the game, I think, at this moment. She's not getting bogged down with the Laurel stuff. And I think she's able to just like kind of fall back in the background. And Melissa, I think, has been pretty quiet when Big T was there, that she didn't really feel the need to have to do anything or she wasn't getting attacked. There was no arguments that needed to be happening. And everybody, I'll be honest, everybody was pretty much on the same page for the first chunk of this season with Adam and Steve getting sent in 4 times in a row. Don't rock the boat if you don't need to. They were never they weren't in any real trouble. And so I think they didn't have to play until very recently where they were the swing vote in the vibe.
So you must be like us over here and really enjoying Veronica and Katie, how they were dominating a lot of the strategy in the last couple of episodes. And then she comes up to Shane here and wants to know what Devon thinks about her. And, you know, he says that basically Devon doesn't like her that much for the fact that she is being really strategic and has been influencing the game strategically. So what have you been feeling about Veronica and Katie? And how do you feel about the fact that Veronica is kind of pinning Devon and Shane, who are partners this season, against each other in favor of her?
I love them. I love Katie and Veronica because they are showing, like, I think everybody underestimated them coming into the season, including I think myself, as they went undrafted in our picks, and I should have probably picked them since they lasted longer than team I got too hype, Ashley K and Dario, who was my last pick. But I love that they were able to kind of be padded in the game, as well as when they needed to turn on their strategy, they were able to. And they divided and conquered in a very strategic way. And I think that it was important. They were almost like the nucleus for a good bit of this game, where I think Frank and Sam gravitated towards them after a while. They had Adam and Steve, and luckily they were able to keep that lifeline alive for majority, even though they were thrown into multiple eliminations early on. And they also had Devon and Shane. It just was really, really solid the way they used their social game, as well as being strategic when they needed to. And I thought that was really, really awesome.
I too miss Professor Kathleen, or I will miss her. I loved her masterclasses. I thought that was like a nice segment. And I find that they tend to do these segments with the OGs. You know, we saw the CT pro tips, we see this one. I feel like there's been other things in the past where it's always with the OGs that they're able to get these really cute, fun, like funny segments. And so I was happy to see these master classes. I thought it was great.
They were good.
Willie said, I told Drew to pick Veronica and Katie, not Ashley K and Dario, but he didn't listen.
I did not listen.
I mean, we all didn't listen, right? I mean,
that is true.
See how I don't know how everybody's doing. I don't even know what my draft team is. You guys, I forgot. All-time favorite. Okay, like I really like Katie. She's not my all-time favorite, but I loved her and Veronica this season. I thought it was fun. Whose class would I enroll in, CT's or Katie's? Probably Katie's.
Okay.
Just because hers are a little bit more strategy based or like mean mugging and like kind of like, and CT's was a little bit more physical. Well, no, he was actually quite smart about some things, like don't throw yourself in and stuff like that. I don't know. I think I'd do Katie's, but what about you?
I mean, they're both really good. They're both champions. I guess I would maybe, just to be on the other side, go for CT's 5-time champion, even though he has height and reputation and people were afraid of him, and he was able to use that to get deep into a lot of seasons. I personally guess would learn more from Katie, since I am smaller, on the smaller side. I'm not CT's height or as intimidating, so probably should go for Katie, but I'll just sit in on CT's pro tips.
I would love to have both of them on again together, Danica. Having the masterclass and pro tips on one season to see whose strategy would prevail. That would be amazing. Amazing. We mentioned it before, but Nany and Casey have the Skype call talking about the baby, and it's kind of like, you know that they're going to be the center of this episode, either going home or something is going to be their focus when we saw that. Back to Shane and Devon. Now he's asking Devon to talk to Veronica just to say that we're good. Devon, like, she's not even pretending like she's going to do it. She's pretty much like, no, I hate that woman. She doesn't like it at all. But one thing I did like was seeing the flashback of Turbo helping Devon in a previous season, and like it showed to me that like Turbo is like can be a really good friend, a really good ally, and he really wants some of the people around him that he cares about to do well. And so I really like seeing that side of Turbo, which is kind of what Devon brought up with the predicament that they're likely going to be in.
Yeah, and even on the Challenge Official podcast, Devon said that right when they won, Turbo was like trying to shout out tips to help Devon and Shane. And once they were declared the winner, she ran over and Turbo ran to her and they hugged and were jumping around. And Shane had to remind Devon that, hey, I'm your partner. You should be celebrating with me first. And so, yeah, it's a really nice moment. She said that her and Turbo have been really close ever since, and they've been in lockstep.
Oh, I think it said lust. I was like, what?
Oh, no. Lockstep.
But wouldn't that be a good partnership or like a relationship, huh?
Yeah.
A good duo. In the beginning of the season, I was speculating like, does Nany and Turbo get together or something? But maybe it's Devon and Turbo have a love affair.
I don't think so.
And then also a couple episodes, I was speculating with Melissa being so angry at Turbo. Like, do they have a friends or an enemies to lover storyline going on? Because if you're going to be really mad at somebody, you might also be really passionate towards somebody, right? I could see that.
Possibly.
That would be what I want to see. So Devon wants Veronica gone. There's no kumbaya for her. She doesn't want her in this game anymore, which was obviously not how things go down, which I was kind of annoyed because as much as I like Veronica and Katie, like I just found it really frustrating to know that they're sitting ducks. So Nani and Turbo can't do anything here. They don't have the numbers. There's 2-star, non-star holders that are going to be able to take their star, and they can't defend themselves unless they get first place, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, but I mean, they had a chance. They had an opportunity. I mean, it's terrible that they got out in like the first round. So it's like they were actually sitting ducks at that point, kind of not being able to do anything when everybody else was getting kind of like they understood the game as it went on. And I think that if Turbo and Nani would have stayed in, they could have done better in the competition if they would have at least got past round one and kind of was able to lock in with the game and come up with a strategy.
Yeah, so we get to the daily challenge. It is a star challenge, so that means a star is going to be up for grabs here because last round 2-star holders, one went home, and so that means that they're going to be playing this daily for a star. Katie, we learned that Katie's going to use this money for this winning to help put money into the house that they're building. So they're going to be playing Bubble Bullseye. Now, basically, they're kind of sitting on a shuffle board disc. What would you call what they're sitting on?
I called it an inflatable like sled or something. It's like an inflatable tube, but with a sled on the bottom with wheels.
Sled with wheels. Okay. Yeah. I'm still gonna say human size shuffleboard disc.
Okay.
Is what they were sitting on. And basically one partner has to slide the other partner through some bubbles onto a board of the bullseye, and the closest to 25 points is going to win that round, and the furthest away is going to be knocked out. Why do you think that they couldn't just make them have their scores tally up? I actually personally didn't think that there's so few teams that they didn't really need, in my opinion, to knock out the person that didn't figure out how to push it the first round. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, I don't think it's that hard to reset every single round. I don't think it's that hard, or there's not like a physically like tough challenge to where if you do it more and more times, it gets worse and worse and worse for the competitor. So they could have done a couple of rounds in the beginning before eliminating somebody or doing a running tally. But I also just enjoyed this one. So I'm not going to be too harsh on it. I actually really enjoyed Bubble Bullseye. I like saying it. I think the title is really nice. I think the rules of the game was fun. I like that majority of anybody could have done it. I think it was a little too simple at certain points that if you, it seemed like if you gave no pressure, you would have probably made it into the middle, it seemed. But overall, I thought it was pretty decent.
I guess why I'm just annoyed is that it didn't seem like they got a practice round.
Yeah.
And so Nany and Turbo were out the first round, and their star was the one that was most on the line. I just felt it was just kind of sucked that like they didn't just get a chance to get better at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have been nice that if they had 2 rounds to kind of get set where at least both people could kind of get the hang of it and get a good push, and then maybe the third round we start
knocking people off.
Whoever has the lowest out of the first 3 goes, and then we can start knocking people out.
Ali thinks it's one of those gym class scooters with like a tube on top. Is that a better description?
I guess so. I've never really had those gym. I think I know what she's saying, but I've never had one of those.
Me neither. Luar says it was more like curling with humans. I guess I was saying shuffleboard. I'm also thinking curling. They're similar disc things.
Which was a challenge in season 17, the Duel 2, where the women had to sit on ice blocks and the men had to push the ice blocks and that was basically just curling. It was also a thing in Champs versus Stars, I believe, where everybody was on a dock and they had to push the people and the people had to stay within a certain thing or fall off the dock. So they've done this one quite a bit of times in the challenge.
Danica says it looks like a tube from the Rainbow River in Dunalon and added wheels up to the bottom. What's the Rainbow River in Dunalon?
It's a place. It's just a river. It's kind of like I don't know. It's if you've been to a water park and it's like a lazy river.
Oh,
but it's like outside and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess it's Dunalon. That's in Florida.
I know there's a river I think like this in Orlando area. Okay. So maybe they're talking about that.
So a Rainbow River in general, lazy river is what I know these rivers to be, but
yeah.
Got it. So an inner tube vibe with wheels on the bottom.
Yeah.
Got it. Weight played a big factor though. Okay, so how does the weight play a big factor? It just made them not go as far because like Nany's pretty light and Turbo probably just gave her a little bit too much of a push.
That's what it looks like. Because even Turbo's like on the back being like, oh, what did I push? Why did I push? Yeah.
I put Veronica as being nostalgic about Bullseye. Were you connecting all the times that Veronica was successful with Bullseyes, or did you just need her to tell you?
No, I did not know. I mean, I remember that challenge, but I wouldn't have picked that challenge, that specific challenge in season 3 and at least connect it with jumping out of an airplane and trying to like hit into the ground and land in a bullseye compared to just pushing people past a foam wall and getting closer to the middle. But yeah.
So
she did not do good in her rounds though. When she was in the inner tube, Katie was too coolly strong for what was going on because they almost got knocked out pretty much twice in this competition.
Very true. Because I wrote down Katie and Veronica out. Oh shit! And then Nicole's foot touched the ground because that was another stipulation. If your foot touches the ground, you minus, I believe, 10 points. So that means Nicole and Melissa are out second. I did laugh very hard next round where Steve flips over and the violins are playing. He is giving the voiceover talking about how he's like, oh, I thought it was very funny. You enjoyed this part too?
Yeah, it was good. And he just waited there for a while. He just wanted to see what would happen if he was upside down and nobody decided, you know?
Sitting there. They're using that. They're really milking that moment, and I found it very funny.
Yeah.
Get me straight. Mini fight. Fine. Oh, I'm like, Shane, I'm like, what am I talking about? Shane and Devon, they are not getting like, on the same page with how to the strategy here. But that didn't matter. They still were able to have a really good throw. But I see they're still against Katie and Veronica for the last round. But in the end, Devon and Shade are able to win this daily. They get their star. Could this dictate a Shane and Devon win? Like, could they be like the dark horses of this season? Because we didn't hear that as much as we wanted to hear from them all season. We do know that there's a bit of this rivalry going on between Shane and Frank, and hearing outside stories that Shane is stealing Frank's underwear, and like I don't know, like all these rumors are going on about them. So, could this be actually the story of the season that Shane and Devon are going to win?
I mean, I think they have a possibility, you know. I think they are a really solid team together. Out of the teams that are left, I do feel like they are within the top 3 at this point. Both of them have not made it to a final, but they still could make a final, and I do think that they could work well with each other. I think they have a lot of good capabilities with each other, and they both, I think, complement each other sort of well.
So I went, Turbo knows that Devon will protect them. I was like, oh boy, this is when you know something on the show, we also know that it's not gonna bode well for them for sure. So after Shane and Devon win here, Frank is worried. Frank starts talking to Adam about what they need to get the house to do and all that stuff. And then Devon walks up and there was a little bit of a confrontation here. And Frank, I didn't think played it off very well, but I feel like Devon could have gotten a little bit more information out of the situation. What do you think about this little spat, I guess we can call it?
I mean, I agree with you that I don't think Frank played it off very well. I was actually surprised when he kind of stopped talking and didn't even say much at all. You know, I give it to Adam. I'm not a huge Adam fan, especially with all the stories that are coming out. But like,
wait, what happened? What stories?
Just a lot of people are saying that he's very much two-faced and that he has a very big anger behind him, to where 3 days in a row he could be all fine and dandy, and then all of a sudden he can get really nasty and just like come at people. Big T has said it, Corey has said it, Shane has mentioned it on the Challenge Official podcast like a week or two ago, that yeah, he's fine, and then all of a sudden he could just get really, really mean, and he will kind of come at you. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I can feel it coming off the screen a little bit. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird situation, but I did like Adam being like, no, I'll tell you everything that we were just talking about. And it's kind of one of those things that I feel like Frank could have just said, oh, well, we're just talking about what could happen in the vote, and we think we want to do this. But I was actually kind of, I don't know, a little surprised that he just didn't want to say anything, even though I know they just won and who knows what's going to happen. But he already knows that Veronica and Katie want to go in, and Nicole and Melissa want to go in. Adam and Steve have been playing close with Veronica and Katie this whole time. I didn't understand why he just didn't want to say anything when he seems to be so transparent and fine with telling everybody all these other things. So
100%. And the only thing that she really overheard was, let's not let him do, or let them do it. Which is not the worst thing to hear. Not let them do what? Like, okay. I'm like, well, we just don't want you to maybe throw in one of us. Like, I don't know. Like, that's it. Like, you can say anything at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that they handled it very well, but it shows me that Frank does not particularly like Devon very much. I don't know if it's because of her partnership with Shane, but like,
I'm sure
Frank was being shifty. Yes, he was, Chris, very shifty.
Yeah.
Devon's well aware that they want to steal Nany and Turbo's star, which it's smart gameplay. I get it, but right now I'm on Nany and Turbo's side here. I feel bad for them. Nani knows this plan. Katie, Frank, and Veronica are hoping now that Shane will give them the opportunity, so Katie and Veronica, to get their star. Now, I know that everybody's just scared of the fact that the final might come and they might not get an opportunity, but they saw last season that everybody will get an opportunity to get their star. I think that they should have maybe allowed something else to happen. Like, what were you thinking about the situation? Did you think that it was the best time for Katie and Veronica to potentially go in against Melissa and Nicole? Do you think that they should have maybe still tried to get another, put 2 star holders down there, have another star come up for grabs, see if there's maybe another daily? Because, yeah, I think that if I were Veronica and Katie, I probably would have still held out for one more week.
So it's easier to say now, to be like, oh, it's way too early. There's still so much time left. But I understand where it's like, okay, we're 2 star holders. Apparently, in the beginning of this season, it was made clear to them if 2 star holders go in, then the person who wins gets to steal a star from anybody who is not in the winning pair. So I'm glad that they knew that, because I was watching this
non-star
episode.
holders.
Yeah, I was watching this episode being like, I guess that's what's going to happen. That was never told to us as the audience, and it hasn't happened up to this point in the season. A star holder was always in, or a star holder went in. I think that the perfect thing that they should have done is put in 2 star holders. I would have suggested Adam and Steve, Turbo and Nani. Put them in. That star gets thrown into the next daily. Yeah, and then that star goes into the next thing for either Melissa and Nicole or Veronica and Katie. Definitely would have gotten that. And then send in Frank, whoever didn't win in the previous elimination in again, and put in the next strongest team and hope for one of them to go out. And then, or put in Melissa and Nicole versus Adam and Steve, or Turbo and Nani, whoever didn't win. And then at least they have a chance, and then you have one more chance of getting out a really strong team. Now we get to a point where, yeah, Melissa and Nicole have a star or whatever, and they had a chance, but there's a really good opportunity that Turbo and Nani could get their star back. Then the other 2 teams that don't view themselves as very strong could be facing off against either Turbo and Nani and Adam and Frank in the final. And then it's like, well, that whole last episode meant pretty much nothing. And it's a 2-horse race, and you didn't really do much of anything to help your position in the way get better or whatever. So,
and that's why I wish that there was more transparency with the rules. Like, they seem to have some more rules than we did for some things, but do they know definitively that no, they did not know that there wasn't going to be another chance for them to get a star. So they were probably just counting weeks and counting maybe, how many people they said were going to be running I don't know what information that they had, but I agree 1,000,000% with you that they should have not gone in, and they should have put 2 star holders in and free up a star and see what happens in that scenario, because they're not going to allow only 3 star holders to go to the final, right? We at least established that. So how are they going? There'll be maybe a purge or whatever for the last one. I don't know. But
I guess their thought process was, if there's going to be a purge, it would happen with 5 teams left. But at the same time, like you said, they're not going to just go with only three teams, And I guess the idea is, I don't know. I just don't know what the idea was, because, like you said, in the most recent episodes or the recent seasons, it's always been everybody gets at least an opportunity. Whether it's skulls, whether it's whatever, stars, everybody gets at least an opportunity to get something. So I think it was an oversight, but at the same time, if you're Melissa and Nicole, you're like, at least I have my star with me. I'm not sitting there going into the next possible officially the last daily challenge with a lot on my plate, thinking maybe I will get it, maybe I won't. At least I have it with me now. And if it gets taken here, then so be it, kind of vibe. At least I had it. At least I was capable of going to a final just in case. But yeah.
Okay, so Danica here saying on Banana's podcast, Shane said Katie and Veronica had made it to the end of the pay period, so they made the most money that they could without winning, so they were okay with it.
Interesting.
That is interesting. It would have still been more interesting then if they didn't put themselves in there, especially since, okay, so we have the party that happens right when they're going into the party. We see the camera tumble. Now, this was just the camera playing off this fall, right? It had nothing to do with Veronica actually slipping and falling, that the camera actually fell. Like, it was just
No.
okay. Because this is like, that's convenient. Like, she took down the camera and I'm like, that can't be happening. But she's twisted her ankle. And I was thinking of like, is this her trying to get out of going down now? So she really wanted to go down into the, jungle. And it seems like she gets taken out by injury right before the final in, her most recent showings. I think a couple times. What do you think about Veronica's twisting her ankle?
I mean, I thought it was just going to play out like it did in All Stars 3. Luckily, it wasn't that bad, but yeah, I mean, they're going out. She slips in on some stairs, and I just thought she was going to be eliminated, which would have been very unfortunate for Melissa and Nicole because they would have not had the opportunity of going against them. Which I think in this elimination coming up, it could have been anybody's game. Maybe Melissa and Nicole could have beaten anybody. But at the same time, it's just that I think also the mental aspect of who you're going up against. And I think out of everybody, Melissa and Nicole would have felt a lot better about going up against Veronica and Katie than if, say, they were possibly going up against Turbo and Nany or something or whatever. I think they would have been more of a wreck going into that game where maybe they wouldn't have been in a better headspace to possibly win if with the matchup that they could have gotten. But I'm sure they were wiping the sweat off their brow, being like, "Whoo, she could stay in. Let's go face them off in elimination."
AK thinks it's all cap. I think she was faking it to get out of elimination. And then she didn't need to have her ankle for this particular elimination. I was laughing quite a bit with the Shane versus Frank medical center moment with Veronica and her ankle. Because, Shane very much was like, you have compression socks and make sure that we had to compress the blood vessels and like going through all this and like, oh, I'll massage your leg. And like, Frank's like, okay, I got a doctorate in physiotherapy and just needs to elevate and put some ice on it. And it was just like the back and forth between the two of them, I found quite humorous. And enjoyable.
And then Frank's just like, I have a degree that could I know this stuff?
I'm considered a doctor. Well, I have a doctorate.
And this guy has his brain kind of fried with red lights for 24 hours. Like,
I love that ridiculous contraption that he wears. And he talks about it a bit on the Bananas pod. And, he does say like he's bringing something funny into the show that's not just like messy fights. So I agree. I love that helmet. It's so ugly.
It's so bad.
So hideous. Okay, so Shane is being petty and wants Frank and Sam gone. We know this is likely just a red herring of a line because I just don't think that Shane's going to go against Veronica in that way. We get to the nominations. Melissa volunteers to be going in. Nany and Turbo are pissed because they feel like they tell TJ that they just want to steal her star. TJ knows this. Now, I don't think that TJ actually really liked this. And so I'm wondering if TJ is going to be like, producers, this isn't fair. Like, Turbo and Nany shouldn't have their stars stolen like this. Like, do you think that he might have had some sort of feelings about it?
I mean, I think he could have. I want to give TJ a lot of credit. He has tried to stir up a lot of chaos at these house votes. And there's only been a handful of times where somebody has taken him up on it, like Amber, who actually had to ask for the center stage, whereas TJ was just gonna he's been asking, nobody's really been given, and then finally he's just like wants more and more people. At least Frank tried to say something, but I don't know how much he knows, but I think there's just a point in him where it's like, all right, I'm gonna try to like get something out of these people.
Something. So we see after though, Nany is like just kind of pissed how Frank and Steve sorry, I said Adam and Steve have won a lot of eliminations. Her and Turbo, Shane is saying, like, you guys are actually really strong, like, you're a super strong team. She's like, well, we haven't won anything in the house. They've won a couple of eliminations, but Adam and Steve have won a lot of everything and taken out a lot of people. Like, why aren't you considering throwing them in? And last week, when we saw this as part of the preview, I was hoping and praying it was because Nany and Turbo had won and they were trying to get them out of the game, but no, it was not what was going down.
Yeah, no.
Sucks. Poor guys. Yes, friends don't pay your bills, says Nany. Then we're on their way to the jungle and we see Sam saying, always be prepared as they walk in. And I'm like, are they going to maybe throw in Frank and Steve? And I'm like, I got bamboozled because that's not what happened at all. I said, does this mean they're going in? And no, it doesn't. So Shane and Devon send Veronica and Katie in to go against Melissa and Nicole. And then we have a commercial break because Devon's like, TJ, what happens if we don't agree? and then nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Did you buy it? I didn't buy it. I didn't know what was actually happening, but like I didn't fully buy it, but I wanted it to happen.
I thought that maybe she was kind of serious in like what would TJ say. Like I was thinking that maybe she was like, no, I want to know what the rules are for it. So maybe TJ would. I was thinking that it was going to be a little bit more serious and it was going to linger a little bit longer. And I was actually interested at what
I want you the answer.
Could have said.
No, just kidding. I'm like,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, I would. And I wonder if like, what if Turbo and Nany would have. Maybe she would have. I don't know. If I'm Turbo and Nany, I almost wonder if they would have been like, if you're trying to steal our star, like, I would like to go in. And maybe they would have tried to volunteer to be like, if people truly think that this is the final elimination, could they have just like walked down there? Or Devon could have like maybe asked if they could have volunteered or something. I don't know. But it'll be interesting. I thought it was going to be a little bit more serious. It was not serious at all.
Would this actually, I haven't thought this through. It just popped in my head right now. But in this particular case where two star holders are going to be going up against each other, do you think it should be the case that if any star holder is scared that their star might be stolen, that they can choose to go down and defend their star?
I don't know, because then what's the point of the daily challenge winners, I guess, because they won for a reason and they should have some power and they don't even get a vote in the house vote. So I think it would have to like tip over to whatever the power couple would have to do. But I would like that rule to be in there. It would be nice.
Or like, yeah, like being like, either this is the house vote and we'll throw this person in, or this person can defend their star. They give them the choice or something. I don't know. But I don't like, yes, I know it's part of the mechanics of the daily here is like, you win the daily, you defend your star. I get it. But being a sitting duck in this, the way that this game is playing out is just kind of annoying.
I almost wonder if Nany and Turbo, looking back on it, because the whole thing with Frank and Sam was, Frank's whole plan is, I don't want to go in because if Veronica and Katie were the ones to volunteer, then that leaves it completely wide open. Like, Devon and Shane won't just throw in Melissa and Nicole just because. They're not friends for 20 years. So that was the whole plan. But it could have helped Turbo and Nany if they pushed for the house vote to be Veronica and Katie, to where then they could have asked to go in, because then it doesn't take away from Veronica and Katie
getting their chance,
getting a chance of winning a star if they go in against a star holder. And then Turbo and Nany can defend their star if they really wanted to. Melissa and Nicole would have been left out in the rain, but who cares at this point? Like,
well, yeah, like what's her name? Devon and Shane aren't going to care about that.
Yeah.
I was curious as to why it had to be Melissa and Nicole as the house vote. I didn't understand why, unless that was part of what Veronica wanted, so that she, like, it's not just getting an opportunity to get her star, but wanting to get it going against the weakest team that's left in the game.
I think everybody's just on the same page. Frank was like trying to appeal to the star holders to be like, if we want to keep our stars as safe as possible, talking about Adam and Steve, it's like if Veronica and Katie were the people thrown in, it gives Devon and Shane kind of free reign because you're technically giving Veronica and Katie a chance no matter who you send in. They could send in Melissa and Nicole, or they could send in a star holder like Frank and Sam, and they could easily say, well, we gave you at least a chance no matter what to go get a star from anybody. Whereas they would rather go up against Melissa and Nicole, and they would rather take a star from whoever they wanted. They don't necessarily want to go up against a friend in Frank and Sam, and they would rather go up against an easier competition. So I think that's why they decided they wanted it to be Melissa and Nicole. And
Melissa and Nicole, they volunteered to go in at that point. And so it would be like, well, no, like, the other team should volunteer. And I think that would look sketchy because it would look like they weren't going to be giving them Nicole and Melissa, who's actually who they wanted. And so I think that Veronica had Shane and Devon kind of in a chokehold here over their friendship, being like, I want this matchup. I want it done this way. Our 20-year friendship lies on it. And so, yeah, I too was like, just put them in as a houseboat and who cares? You know, you could save Devon or save Turbo and Nany, but no, they couldn't make it happen.
Yeah. And I mean, it is what it is. You know, everybody talks about friendships and all this other stuff, but at a certain point, friendships, I guess, they need to be not matter at a certain point. And I think this is around the time where you kind of just have to go with the flow of what you need to get done. But then again, if the house vote would have been Adam and Steve, then they would have sent in Frank and Sam. Or if it was even Turbo and Nany, I think they would have wanted to put in Frank and Sam just for petty reasons, when in actuality, they should have put in both of them in against each other. But it is what it is.
Yeah, Henry, we talked this through a few minutes ago, with that this would have been the optimal decision, and then see what was going to happen. See whether or not they're not going to just allow 3 star holding teams to go to the finals. So they would have to figure out a way to distribute that final star. And so I think that would have been the best for the teams remaining in the game. But they didn't think that far ahead. And maybe Katie and Veronica did check out because they know that they weren't going to be winning this season, likely against anybody that was left there. And so maybe they didn't think fully through as somebody that wants to get to the end and potentially win. Or also maybe they're trying to give Adam and Steve the best chance at winning the game. And so they didn't make that happen, because if they went home, then they couldn't do that. So yeah, we agree that should have been what happened, though.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, they're going to play pin pop. Basically, they're guiding a pin on a rope to pop these strategically placed balloons. Mel says she's good at the claw game. Are you good at the claw game?
No, not at all.
Is there anybody good at the claw game other than Melissa? No, right?
Well, there's a guy on YouTube that I watch called Sea Dog VA, and he does like challenges where he gives his like guest like $1,000, $500, and they run around like a claw arcade in Japan, and he always wins. He always gets the most prizes, and he knows all the tricks and everything. So
true. I don't know any of the tricks of the claw. I've maybe played once, so I'm not adept in the claw game.
Well, sometimes in Japan they have machines, that the claw machines, and it's just how many times you play the game. So it's like it's a rigged thing where it won't be as powerful to pick up, and then all of a sudden in like the 30th, or it's all on a system where then it starts picking up, and the machine has enough strength to pick up the thing and drop it in the hole. So it could be just a luck of the draw. It could be that the machine is consistent, but yeah.
So does he have to play like the same machine to know like the pattern of the claw grab?
Pretty much. Like and then that's where it's like, okay, this is you have to know the game, have to know how tedious it is, how much money you're probably going to have to spend, what the strategy is, and then what the prize is. So the prize has to, like, in the machine, has to be worth it to decide on how much money you're willing to spend, how much time you're willing to spend to do it.
Taboo says these idiots went from let's get male duo out first 3 episodes to let's give them a pass to the final. Genius gameplay with some applause. Shots fired, Taboo. Shots fired. I mean, I agree. It's wild that they wanted to get them out in the beginning, but now they're letting them get to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay on my strategy. It would have been boring as heck, but it would have made the most sense in the world. I wanted them to put Adam and Steve in every single time that they were available to go in. Just throw them in every single time, no matter who it's against, because as Henry says, this could have been an elimination that they could have lost. And you never know. But also at the same time, I wanted to see this elimination record broken. And I wanted to see it broken in either a big way or they lose in some point. But it would have been the best strategic move to send them in over. Have it be, I wanted to see them win 9 eliminations on their way to a final. And it's like, good, you can win if that's the case. But to send them in 4 times and be like, wow, they're going to really break this record. Now they might have one more chance to tie the record. I'm done with ties. I want to see them. I want them
break or lose.
8 elimination wins in one season for a pair. That would have been incredible. Let's do this thing. But it would have made the most sense. People would have been bored of it, but it would have made the most sense to try to take them out at this point as many times as possible. But it is what it is. It's better that other people win in. I know it's more entertaining if more people win in, but strategy on paper, it would have been better to send them in like 9 times and
send them in often.
Yeah.
Get them out. Get them out. So the winners of Pin Pop is Mel and Nicole in seemingly a photo finish ending. Who were you rooting for, and were you on the edge of your seat here in this final call?
I really wasn't rooting for anybody. I guess I'm glad that Melissa and Nicole won, since I think that because of Veronica's ankle being rolled, you never know what could happen in a final or even in the next daily challenge or just in the house. So I guess I'm happy that Melissa and Nicole won, but I was at the edge of my seat. It would have been it was very exciting. They were going back and forth the entire time. It got to the very end where I thought Katie and Veronica had it. I mean, their pin was stuck at the top of the last one next to the hole. I understood what they were trying to do. I think they were just trying to like move while it's still stuck, so that way it would just fall into the hole and press the balloon. They didn't want to pick it back up and then have to redo everything. And Melissa and Nicole's was just erratic, but they were able to just stick it before they could. Veronica and Katie could have moved it, but I thought it was really, really close. I thought Veronica and Katie had it for how close they were to that hole, but I like it. I love it. I enjoyed this one. I would like it to be played every single time they're in pairs. It would be awesome.
Chris wants to know if Steve has the most elimination wins in a row if you include past seasons. Do you know?
Probably. Well, I think he's only honestly, I think he's only in one elimination. One elimination in season 7, and he lost it against Tanya, I believe. And then he won against Tanya. He won against Tanya, and he's got 7-1. 7-1. So yeah, he's got 7 elimination wins in a row. No, that's not enough eliminations in a row, because I believe both Wes and Laurel started off with 9 or close to double digits in a row. Like they didn't lose. Like Laurel didn't lose an elimination until Invasion, and she started in season 20 Cutthroat. So I believe that's the one. I think she's the one that everybody needs to beat. I think she was 9-1. 9-1 in eliminations. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up right now. Now that I'm looking at now that this question was posed.
All right, you look away. Devon is happy to see Veronica go because now she can have her partner all to herself. I did find it really funny with Nicole and Melissa laughing and talking about their win and say that they're really going to need subtitles for us, and the little question marks that that the editors put underneath Nicole. I didn't actually understand what she said. I was like, oh, I usually can understand people that have accents, but you at this point, no clue.
I think they were playing it up too. I found that they play it up a little bit in like the confessionals and stuff, but hey, it's fine.
Take the strongest team out. It's killing me to do this to Nani. This is Mel, what she's saying right before she takes the star from Nani and Turbo. I feel like her taking the star from Nani and Turbo is going to ensure that they don't win this season. Like, not that they really had that big of a chance before, but I just feel as though it would have been a better thing for them to be like, for her to be like, hey, Nicole, I gave it to you one time before, but let's take Steve and Adam's star right now, and maybe we can lock them out of getting into the final. I mean, I know you're friends with Adam, but like, we're so close to the final. This could be our only chance at getting them out of this game. Why couldn't she pitch that?
Yeah, that would have been better. A better situation. I do want to just throw this out there. Laurel does hold the record. She had 9 straight elimination wins before losing. Wes had 8 straight elimination wins, and now Steve has 7. So, yeah, Laurel was 9-0 before she lost to Camilla in Invasion, and then she lost to Ninja. And then she stopped wanting to go into eliminations. She's like, "No, thank you. I used to be dominant. Now, no, thank you. I don't want to be in eliminations anymore."
Of course, Nani's pissed. These people aren't smart. TJ says, see you at the next challenge. So they were not correct in their assessment that this was the last opportunity to get their star. Nani is crying. But we do hear Turbo say, but this time you have me, Nani. You have me. And I was like, oh, is he gonna win this for Nani? Is he gonna get Nani her first win? It really could happen because this is a low point, and right now they're the underdogs. And to see them rise and succeed, take out the monster, which would be Adam and Steve, and then go on to win the game, that could be an arc of a season. So at this point, it does, to me, look like definitely it's either going to be Nani and Turbo or Steve and Adam winning. But the best told story would be, in my opinion, Nani and Turbo overcoming and winning. So hopefully we got a good ending, right?
It would be nice. It would definitely be nice. I just feel like I just think there were so many missteps for a lot of teams leading up to this point, because I think that looking back on it, there could have been a lot better strategy, especially for the teams that maybe felt like they weren't the best physically. They could have all banded together a little bit sooner and maybe could have come up with an actually good strategic plan on how they wanted to tackle the teams that maybe are a little bit too powerful for them, like Devin and Leroy, Amber and Fessy, Adam and Steve. Now it just feels like it's Turbo and Nani, and it just feels like now, I don't know, it's almost like pick your poison at this point, and it's either going to be that's why I want Turbo and Nani to win their star back, and just in case if it's Adam and Steve is in the final, you have Turbo and Nani in the final as well, to where I think it's going to be a close 2-team race with 2 teams battling for 3rd place. Whereas I don't want to watch a final where I pretty much feel I know the outcome and people are vying for 2nd and 3rd place instead, and we're now looking, because that's what I hate, like when I'm watching, like, I don't know, NASCAR or something, and the leaders out there by like 30 seconds, and then it's like, we're gonna take a look at battle for 12th and 13th place, because that's way more exciting than who's at first. And it's like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to watch this kind of vibe, like, I guess, but I guess that's just what we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen. But yeah, it's 5 teams left. Anything could possibly be on the table. I wouldn't put anything past everybody, but we'll see what happens.
So do you have an MVP team for this episode?
MVP team for this episode, I guess Devon and Shane, because they won not only their star, but they were able to win the daily challenge. So the star that they had was already protected, and they got it fair and square. They had to go through each and every round, and even though they didn't do much with their power, I think that they were able to win in a very crucial moment. And
I don't think anybody's going to steal their star necessarily if something happens. So
yeah,
they still are in a good position that way. So
agreed. Yeah,
agreed. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks, Drew. Do you want to quickly give us an update on what's going on with our drafter Rooney with the boy? Well, with is it just with Chris or was it also Kahuna?
Yeah. No, it's just Chris. Yeah. I can. So if this is the one, I pretty much feel. I guess not. All right. Well, I'll start out with who's in third place.
Oh, God.
And unfortunately, Team Chantele and Team AI are in third place, and you pretty much locked in third place. Once
I have nobody else.
Amber and Fessy were eliminated. Because you had Beth and John A, who went out first. Then you had Devin and Leroy, who went out second on your team. Aneesa and Ashley M went out when Ashley M decided to not use goggles, which was ridiculous and stupid. And then Amber and Fessy was eliminated. You ended the game with 238 total points.
Gosh.
You had Amber and Fessy, Devin and Leroy, who were winning constantly, and I thought it was going to be a really, really strong showing. I was in third place for a lot of the game, but unfortunately, your team was just targeted way too early, and were eliminated. Now, second place, which I'm very shocked by because they were in first place for a lot of the game, and that was Team Chris, who now holds on to Turbo and Nani and Adam and Steve. Chris also had Big T and Coriel, who were the lowest scoring team up until Kellyanne and Sylvia left, because now they are the lowest scoring team. And he had them as well. But Adam and Steve was crushing it. They were the only team with over 100 points for a lot of this game, but they've been slowing down. They haven't won a ton of eliminations recently. I believe that they only had like 3 confessionals each from this past week's episode because they weren't focused on very much. So yeah, they're still really solid with 2 teams with triple digits, with both Turbo and Nani and Adam and Steve both in the game still. But I have the lead here with 391 points, mainly because Devon and Shane finally woke up to do something. Melissa and Nicole finally woke up to do something. For a lot of the season, Frank was the one person that was getting into fights, and his back was hurting for carrying my team with winning a star, then winning a daily challenge. And so, but for now, I'm in the lead with 391 points. I lost Ashley K and Dario, which was not good. And for a while, I thought Melissa and Nicole were going to be the next one off on the chopping block, but we'll see what happens with one more episode left. But yeah.
Well, more than one. 3. We decided 3.
One episode most likely before the final, it seems like. That's what I was trying to say.
So, Danica, we think there's going to be 3 episodes left, 2 at 12. I don't think that there's going to be a reunion. So you'll have to pay for April for 3 weeks, basically.
It is frustrating. It seems like, and this is where it's like, I don't know, you got to just enjoy whatever is happening with this season, because I don't know. I haven't heard much about season 41 filming, which I don't want to hear much of anything that was happening with the filming. I know that there was a huge power outage in Chile pretty recently, and that probably delayed production and everything. But I haven't heard too much. I know that it's a long filming session. I'm expecting, if we hear anything with a cast reveal, the earliest would be August for a September season. That's the best option, or the most recent option, I would think, or the most soon option. And then the latest would probably be October would be the next season start. So a lot of months. So just enjoy whatever we're going to get for the next 3 weeks, because who knows what could happen. And then Mark is freaking everybody out about his tweets about All-Stars
6
rating.
Oh,
And well, the All-Stars ratings for a possible All-Stars 6 could be maybe not in the case anymore.
wait. So the ratings are bad?
The ratings aren't good, but there was a lot of talk specifically from this past week before this last episode, this week's episode. Mark was doing everything. He was pulling out all the stops. He was all over social media. He got Coral to do a video to be like, hey guys, remember, if you want Coral to possibly be on All-Star 6 and there to be an All-Star 6 in general, please watch this next week's episode. And there was stoppingpolite.com was like tagged him in a thing being like, who he just put out, they just put out, hey, I'm putting up together an All-Star 6 cast list of people who've never been on All-Stars yet. Who do you think should be on it? Take notes at Mark Long. And Mark Long quote tweeted that being like, tune into All-Stars 5 this next week's episode, or All-Star 6 may not happen kind of vibe. If you want an All-Star 6, please tune into this week's episode, as the powers to be is watching the ratings and interacting. And it's like, okay, he didn't say anything about All-Star 6 or talking anything about that tweet. It was just like he used it to quote tweet and be like, please gosh. So it's not. And the worst rating was 250,000, and this past week's was a little bit higher, but I don't know. We'll just wait and see. I don't know what the level is, because who knows what the level of good rating is for MTV nowadays. I've seen Ridiculousness bring in 90,000 for a new episode, which isn't great. So is 300,000? Yeah, and is 300,000, which seems to be a good number compared to 90,000, enough to want to keep on pushing?
Maybe not for the time slot, like 8 p.m. or 8 p.m.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what's going on. But it didn't seem like it was a good situation if Mark Long is like batting down the hatches and bringing Coral out of the woodwork to like try to like, hey, niche challenge OG audience, please, gosh, just watch this if you want Coral back on the show.
But the thing is the people that want Coral back on the show, you're not creating seasons for, right? Like, yes, this season was fun, but like, or has been fun, but I want to see all the Corals and the people, the old school people. I do all the OG stuff. I want to see OGs. So bring in the Ashleys and the Darios and the Fessy and the Ambers. Like, I don't want to see them, and so they're not really creating, in my opinion, a season with people that Coral would be bringing in my opinion. So
I just don't know what the thought process is. Here's what I would say. Make more seasons like Rivals, except don't call it Rivals. Call it just the main flagship show. Put it on twice a year and let them be 14 episodes each, and bring in everybody who does Rivals, or All-Stars loves how long it films. It's a lot more chill vibe. I think it brings back that old school real world feeling. And I think that if you had a shorter filming schedule and a little bit more nice vibes, people who are older and newer would rather do the show. So I don't know. And then you can have these filming simultaneously. Put on CT on one of the seasons and have them on there for 14 episodes, and then don't have them on for the second one in 20 whatever, and have that one have Johnny Bananas or Cara or whatever. And then you just keep on swapping them back and forth and bring in new people, bring in old people. And I think it would have been fun. I think that would be fun. I think that would be fun. 14 episodes, when you lock in people for 19 episodes for 4 months. It's just like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? Why do we have to have a marathon for one season when we could have 14 fun episodes for more time?
100%.
Yeah, instead of 22 episodes for one season with a reunion, 28 episodes for 2 seasons, and have a little bit of play in between. I think it would be a lot. I think it would go a lot further than what we're doing now. Whereas Devon is like, I'm no longer coming back. Frank saying, I no longer want to come back. People are having kids to where they have families and they're like, I don't want to come back if it's going to be this long of a season. And I don't know. I think they're alienating some of their better personalities. And like you were saying, with how difficult it is for people to access the show, you're alienating your own audience as well. I mean, forget the casual fans. I mean, locked in fans, longtime fans are having to jump through freaking hoops to have to watch this show if they don't watch it live. You know, I mean, my DVR, I put it on to watch. I have it set to record the challenge series, but because of Rivals and All Stars, it was under a different title. I made sure to specifically film this series, and then it still didn't film the series, record the series when I wanted. And it's like, what are we doing here?
I
want to watch this, and you're making it to where I don't want to watch this. I don't understand.
Exactly. Like when I'm searching it, I have to search the Challenge All Stars 5, or say I can't find it. Like it doesn't come up when I'm searching the challenge.
Yeah. Also,
or All Stars.
Also, upon changing the seasons from 1922 episodes to 14 episodes, we're changing the date. The day of week it's put on. We're not putting it on against
Survivor
or anything like that. I'll go on a Tuesday when nothing's on except for Big Bang Theory reunion reruns and stuff, when nobody's watching anything. You know, you're watching Farmer Wants a Wife, that's on Thursdays. You're watching Extracted, that's on Mondays. If you're watching The Bachelor, it's on Mondays. Survivor and Amazing Race can be on Wednesdays.
Tuesdays is The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I don't know how much
and maybe Summer House, or is that Wednesday?
I don't know how much overlap that it has, but I'm just saying there's a lot more like direct competition on Wednesdays. But it's like, just put it on a different day. What is the problem with, why do you want to put it on Wednesday? It feels like you're in the same household. You walk past Survivor and they're like jacked up and roided out because they're getting all these million viewers every single week at 8 p.m. time slot. You are grabbing Survivor people to be on your show. You know but then the MTV's just like, now Wednesdays is our time. We want to do it too. We want to be on Wednesdays too. It's like, no.
They were on Wednesdays first, I believe. And Survivor was a Thursday show. And so Survivor did kind of go over and bully MTV a little bit. So
I will state that I have done research on what days have been on what seasons, and I can tell you right now, the challenge has been on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Wednesdays. Wednesdays just stuck more recently. They can be on any day except for Friday at this point, because they have done that. They have done every single week, every day of the week.
I mean, I'm fine with it being on any other day. Tuesday would make things more, it would make it easier for me, for sure. So
it just doesn't make sense. It's not like they're even on competing networks. They're on the same. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It's never made sense.
Silly. Okay, Johnny wants to know, what are the odds of Melissa and Nicole winning the season?
5%. That's what I would give them. They haven't done anything this season except for winning against Veronica and Katie in a pin popping competition. I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. With who is left in the game, I just don't see it happening.
I don't really see it either. Maybe less than 5%. Johnny also wants to know, who do we want to see ideally on All Star 6? Danica has some people here I agree with. I definitely want to see Susie and Sarah. I know people don't love Susie, but I want to see her back on the show. It's fine. Coral and The Miz, absolutely. I'll take Julie as well. Yep, Eric Nyes, I'll take him too. I'll take all these people.
How crazy if they could have done a rival season with Julie and Veronica.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Julie could have like 19 different rivals at this point. But it would have been incredible for them to show the one scene in Inferno of Veronica and Julie on the buildings, in between the buildings, and she's like messing with her harness and stuff. I think that would have been incredible.
Okay, Dreadful here says, I really don't know if I'll continue watching after the season. Kills me to say, but the transphobia not being a deal breaker for production, and TJ talking about wanting Kenny back, feeling icky. I don't know about the transphobic comment. Is that with Cara? And
I guess so.
Holly? Yeah. It wasn't specifically transphobic, but they left out the T.
Yes, I remember that.
So maybe that's part of it.
I think she's meant to be on the next on season 41. So it means that if
they didn't care about. Okay.
Yeah, if you're bringing her back on, you're pretty much saying that you're supporting her by giving her money, giving her a platform, giving her a show, and she's shown to be. But yeah.
Yep, Jen, Paula, Marlon, Keena, Sarah. Yep. I would see all of them. Totally understand where you're coming from here, Dreadful Ruby, with these comments. I haven't heard TJ talk about Kenny coming back.
He's made mentions, and they've also there's also been moments where they've said that they've called for Camilla to be possibly asked just in case, like, she is available, and it's like, I don't know. That would be a deal breaker for me, for sure. Like, asking definitive problematic people to be on the show. Like, it's just like, what the fuck? Yeah. I could never be middle of the road with anything like that. So if they were to go out of their way to bring back Kenny or Camilla or anything, like, I'm just, no.
That's a problem.
It's a huge problem. That means it's like, I do not care. Like, I specifically, they've done stuff and we've gone to court. I do not care at this point. It's like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think that they would plummet their show. I don't think anybody would be watching if either. Yeah, I get it. If they brought Kenny back, I think that or Evan, I think that would be really bad for the show.
I mean, I've had so many people in my comment sections want to, or even newer people being like, why isn't they on this or whatever? Because they just blow, if they're just rewatching the seasons on Paramount Plus, they do blow past like a lot of, they never say anything, they never do anything. So you have to do some outside research to even know what was going on. And
it's still pretty hush-hush as to what exactly happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not clear and definitive. I think they're not allowed to speak about it legally. So,
and it depends on who you ask as well, because aforementioned Susie was dating a cameraman, or I think she's married to somebody who was part of the crew, and she definitively stands behind saying that nothing happened. And so Johnny, of course, has spoke up saying in favor of Kenny and Evan. So it is one of those things where it's like, all right, he said, she said, but I believe I believe MTV has this, and they've also settled it outside of court and stuff, but there was a court filing and everything. So yeah.
Regardless, if the whole case is not going to be coming to the light, there's no, like, you have to try to take the stand. It's like, we don't tolerate this. This is what has been accused, and we are standing by, the Susie and not Susie, Tanya in the situation.
Well, I also think that it's also not in the best interest of anybody that we just mentioned to ever want to come back. Maybe, they would get on TV and they would be back in the limelight, but also that comes with a lot of people bringing back up a lot of issues that they wouldn't want to be marred again as well, but they would be dragged and all this other stuff. Anyways, this is an icky topic.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
So we can move on.
Okay, well, that's it for us. Anything you want to pitch or share with us, audience, people watching you today? Drew, what's going on with you?
I know I've been pretty kind of silent on any extra videos, but we are heading into an off season, as well as I've been working very hard on the CT doc. It will be a 6-part docuseries, and I have put the first part on a Patreon exclusive first part on Patreon, patreon.com/angelcakevids. I will be working on getting a part 2 Patreon exclusive on there this week, as well as April 7th will be part 1 of CT Doc, YouTube friendly monetized version up on YouTube, where I will be doing that, as well as every other week I'm planning on putting up part 1, part 2, part 3 until all 6 parts are out. So April 7th will be the first day of the CT Doc on YouTube. So that's mainly all I want to talk about, because that's all I've been really working on. and working hard on. So yeah, it'll be good. Other new videos will also be coming out. I will be doing a lot of different bigger projects with also smaller projects as we go into our 4, 5, possibly 6 months of indefinite hiatus of the challenge until the new season starts. So I'll be working on a lot of stuff to try to help keep me afloat.
Afloat. Well, obviously, it's a great time having you come back and chat. Even though if my AI team has faltered, I will put that data into my AI chat box around the challenge, so they can take these stats into consideration if I do any other consultations with it for my draft team. My team looked a lot better before the season began.
Oh yeah.
It's similar to. Are you watching Survivor right now?
I haven't started it yet.
Okay. Well, I'll just say that I drafted 6 players with Nerdtainment, so myself, Sarah, and David, and we're going into episode 6. And I have 1 player left.
Oh my gosh.
So I have had the first 5 boots of the season.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
which
sorry.
is insane.
That's wild.
Insane. So now I'm hoping to have the 6th as well. And the person that I have left could very easily be the next boot. Very easily. So I might have the first 6 boots and annihilate my draft team in the first 6 episodes.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's not a good year for me. Not a good year. Oh well. What can I do but lose, apparently? Yeah, I know, right? Isn't that nuts? And all these people, like, I'm shocked by. Like, yeah. Anyways, so have fun watching and then laughing at every boot is from my draft team.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. That is tough.
So I'm hoping to shoot the moon here, right? All 6 for 6, like that's a new record. I don't think that's harder to do than picking the winner, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, thanks everybody for being here, including you, Drew, all you guys in the chat. You guys are awesome, so supportive. You are the best. So make sure you just subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let us know if you think our MVPs are correct. Let us know who you want to see on All-Star 6. Let us know if you think that Nany and Turbo are going to possibly win, or are they going to be out? Is it going to go to Adam and Steve? Let's hear all your thoughts, non-spoiler thoughts, but all your thoughts about how you think this season's going to play out. Other than that, we'll see everybody soon. Ciao.